We have just listened to a gospel story about a poor widow and giving. The story presents us with a few questions. What do we give, and how do we give it? Jesus praises the small gift of the widow, claiming that she has given much more than all the rest who have paraded through making a show of their large donations. And here's a paradox. How can the smallest gift be the greatest gift? Jesus looks beyond the action to the underlying attitude and motivation. This poor widow, who put in everything she had, trusted that God would provide for her. The others gave from their surplus, but she has given her all. Her act of genuine goodness is grounded in deep faith, trust, and love. And so she teaches us that what really matters is not the size of the gift, but the love of the giver. I'm sure we've all experienced this in some way. What makes a gift meaningful is the thoughtfulness and the love behind it. Think of the memories of treasured gifts you have received through the years. Maybe a special photo framed, or a hand-picked bouquet of wildflowers given to you by a child, or a carefully crafted poem from the heart. These gifts were made beautiful, priceless in fact, because of the loving sincerity of the giver. And so it is with God. No matter the size of the gift, God looks at the love of the giver. Tonight, we come together to celebrate with Jen, Jackie, and Colleen. Their journey of love has led them to give their lives to God. No small gift, that is. Giving oneself in a lifetime commitment is not something one does quickly. It's a slow process. Love grows with time and experience. And so it is with religious life. Initial formation is a long, slow process. One gets plenty of time, actually 5 to 9 years, to decide and be sure that this is where God is calling one to be. In postulancy, these 3 women lived with us as they discerned their initial calling. As novices, they entered more deeply into this lifestyle. They were nurtured in the womb of this community as they prayed, studied, and learned about monastic life. And that time has brought them to this step today, where they have chosen to make a commitment to God and this community for the next 3 years as they learn to integrate ministry with prayer and community. In a few minutes, we will witness Jen, Jackie, and Colleen profess promises to give themselves to this monastic way of life. The community will affirm them and promise to support them on this journey. But for the benefit of the families, let me explain just a little bit about the 3 monastic vows that they will be professing: stability, fidelity through the monastic way of life, and obedience. With stability, we commit to share the rest of our lives with this particular community of women through good times and bad times. It's easy to be deceived into thinking that one is virtuous and holy when one lives alone. But the real test comes in staying put and developing and working through stable relationships with the women in this place. Community life has the power to smooth out the rough edges of our personalities and gradually transform us through patience and perseverance. Stability shows a willingness to continue to grow where we are with these people in this place. Fidelity through the monastic way of life is also known as conversatio. It's a commitment to time-honored monastic practices of daily liturgy of the hours, lectio, silence, solitude, community living and loving, study and work. These choices lead us to grow in communion with God and with our brothers and sisters as we live the gospel. We promise to be faithful, to let go, to forgive, to be open to change and conversion, to be led beyond who we are now to who we are called to be by God. This faithfulness helps us to see every day as a new beginning, a new opportunity to love and to work to transform the world. With obedience, we commit to a life of deep listening for the voice of God everywhere. In the rule of Benedict, the scriptures, the church, the prioress, the community, each other, the world, creation, everywhere God speaks, we listen. We surrender our selfish ways and let go of the desire to control by trusting that the Spirit will lead us to do God's will in love. As we listen to the needs of the world, we make decisions for the common good. These monastic vows are designed to help us grow towards the fullness of love as we spend our lives seeking God wholeheartedly. They free us to love and serve all people, using our gifts for others. We no longer live for ourselves, but for the world. And this gift of self brings joy and peace. And so, Jen, Jackie, and Colleen, I go back to the first questions. What do you give? How do you give it? Hopefully, like the poor widow in the gospel, you promise to give all that you have and all that you are, trusting in God and in this community. And how do you give yourself? Freely, cheerfully, generously, lovingly. For love does not calculate or count the cost. Love just loves.